I commend you so much, and it's awesome that to take what you experience and transition into something new at the time that we're taping this or live with this.
There's no tape, Tim. Come on.
Yeah, well, the cliche, as they say. But you pitched last night at a competition, Star Peninsula, and you're one of the finalists. So talk to us about the new business. What do you have going on?
Sure, absolutely. So let me preface this by saying sometimes your darkest moments can inspire your greatest ideas, because the idea for EWedded actually came to me in 2016. I was sitting in my living room, and it was actually the first time I thought we were going to have to close our doors. I was freaking out. And it was like a light bulb moment. I had this feeling of, okay, don't cry, don't like get it together. How do you fix this business? Where are you bleeding? And one of the glaring areas of pain was inventory. I had so much inventory. I actually had $250,000 of inventory that was considered dead inventory. So it was either discontinued or samples I couldn't move, or, we had dropped a designer, or even customers that didn't come back and buy their stuff. So I actually called my attorney and said, I want to create a multi-vendor marketplace. Like, I think I can do this. And how do we create a package where I can bring investors into the retail business to help me shore it up, and then they'll get ownership, like in the big picture. And we almost got it done. I will tell you, I raised about $200,000, but it wasn't enough, and it wasn't enough timing. So I had to shelf it. And then after I lost everything, I had to recover, and I had to figure out, what did I want to do when I grew up, and came back from all of this. And 5 years later, it was still nagging at me. So in the end of 2019, I decided, you know what, it's time. It's time for you to go back into the industry that you love. It's time for you to create the solution for small businesses. Let's get it done. And so I hired a development team that started working on the development of the marketplace in early 2020. And then the pandemic hit. And my first instinct was, oh no, this is horrible timing for me. Like, what am I doing? Trying to build a business during the pandemic. And then I had a conversation with my corporate development officer, and he was like, actually, you have a really unique opportunity here, Maya, because the industry is being shuttered. I mean, stores were forced to close for up to 3 months, and the supply chain was totally disrupted, and designers were having issues moving inventory. And he's like, so, EWedded really can help these companies now. So we fast tracked it as much as we possibly could, and we launched our MVP in January of this year. And so in a nutshell, EWedded is a multi-vendor marketplace that helps wedding businesses and brands move their excess inventory more swiftly and sustainably. By doing so, they improve their operational efficiency, they improve their bottom line, and they're just smarter about their products in general. So we've spent really the first 3.5 months culling sellers. We're currently onboarding around 80 sellers, which is almost $3 million in sellable merchandise. So that's been exciting, and we're raising money.
So how does that work from a vendor perspective? So let's talk a little bit more about the pain point aspect of it, the problem in there. So, because I feel like it doesn't have to just be the wedding experience. It could be a lot of industries. We talked about bikes a little bit, and how that industry is crazy. And so historically, a brick and mortar, and just tell me when I'm wrong in this or agree with me. Historically, a brick and mortar location goes to a vendor or some company and says, hey, we want your thing. They buy it, and then they host that thing at their location until they sell it for more than they bought it for. And then they make whatever that margin is off of that. Is that pretty standard?
Pretty standard. The difference with the wedding industry, though, is that it's not a cash and carry business. So you actually...
what does that mean?
Like, I'm not selling the item I actually get from the designer. I'm taking orders on that one.
So you have that one dress. You're able to use it as a sample. Right. Other people can get in it, and then you can...
Right.
Got it. Okay.
And
that's why on the when my wife and I got married, it was like say yes to the dress like every day. That thing happened. I've always been. So that's why they take like the clips, and so you can figure out your measurements and all that stuff. So they have a bigger. Got it. Okay.
So I mean, you would think, okay, well, if you're a special order business, you don't have inventory management problems. And maybe in other industries that doesn't exist. But the thing about weddings is there's constant pressure to buy new. The consumer is expecting new. The manufacturers and designers are always coming up with new collections and basically force feeding you these minimums. And when you bring on a vendor, you actually sign on to their terms. And so when you sign on to their terms, they basically are dictating to you, okay, every 12 weeks or 16 weeks or whatever it is, you're going to buy 12 dresses or 24 dresses or 36 dresses, whatever it is. And you don't have a choice in the matter. And if your store is only 3,000 square feet, right? Like, what do you do? And then let's say you buy 12 pieces. This is a big thing, right? You buy 12 pieces. And then 2 months later, you get a notice from the designer saying, we've decided to discontinue these following styles. And 4 of the dresses you bought, you can't take orders on anymore, right? And so you can't sell it all in a sale. You can't give it all away, in a donation. When you're repping 36 to 50 designers, depending on the size of your store, it adds up quickly. And wedding goods are really expensive.
So the designer can say, hey, you can't sell this thing anymore.
Right. You can't.
And they dictate. Okay. Interesting.
Yep. And on the design side, because we're also going to help brands, right?
And if you want that brand in there, you have to follow their rules, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's very little leverage. But the designer also
is that only for like couture like brands, those very like that's across the board in the wedding industry.
It is across the board. Absolutely. Yeah. It's an issue whether you're a small artisan designer or whether you're this big master, like manufacturer. So.
Wow.
Yeah. And it's the conversations I have today when I'm talking to retailers is, have you ever opened that closet? Have you ever pulled back the curtain on those 2 dressing rooms you can't use anymore and put a dollar value on that inventory that's sitting there? That could be the paycheck you're not paying yourself. I mean, honestly, because the margins are so slim, you have store owners that aren't paying themselves, right? And they've been running their businesses for 5 years, 10 years, whatever it is. And so for a lot of it for us is education, because I don't want to discredit the wedding industry, but many of the people that go into the industry do it because they love weddings, not because they love business. They don't understand the complexities and they don't understand a P&L and cash flow and how to read a balance sheet. And so they're just looking at that garment. And I'm like, you paid $1,200 for that baby. That's not just a garment. What could you do with that money?
So that sounds to me that because you know the industry so well, when you decided to move forward with this idea, one of the questions we just had was, why did you stay in the same industry? Is it because it is such a difficult industry to understand and know that's one of your secret weapons that you have?
Yeah, so it's 2 things. It's love of industry and it's love of helping people. So what I get to do now, right? And so this is where sometimes going through something painful can actually open the door to something beautiful. Like I always thought I was going to own a bridal shop. And even when I had just my 2 before I expanded, I was like, this is a nice business that I can pass down to my daughter. And if other things come from it, it's great, whatnot. And I had a lot of passion and I had a lot of fire and I loved it. But now, not only do I get to be in the industry that I love, I get to help small businesses be better at what they do. And that to me is mind blowing. How I get to have this moment is really, really exciting. And yeah, so anyway, that's it in a nutshell.
Someone who's been directly involved within the startup community for almost a decade, I want to talk to you about a serious pain point. Spending a ton of time trying to understand the business landscape in the 757. That's time that should be focused on growing the business. At Startwheel, we're here to help you by compiling all of the news you need to know about in one place. Now there's no need to search multiple websites. Just head to startwheel.org and see for yourself. That's startwheel.org.